homelessness, what you see spewing onto our street corners today, where's that coming from? Well, it's coming from this cataclysmic breakdown of the family, this profound loss of family. And a lot of people will say, aren't there multiple models that can go and attack this problem? And I say, no, I think there's only one model, and that model is basically Genesis chapter 2. Just after God creates the Garden of Eden, he then takes the man, settles him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. It says, and man was not meant to be alone. And so he created Eve. I think it's not finding something, I think it's orienting to something, to be living in the paradise of enjoyment, to be a part of a family and a community, and to be valued and to be loved. That's what we need to be doing.
I became homeless in Houston. We ended up hitchhiking to Austin. I've known Alan since 2007, and I told him 2 years ago that I trusted him. The first person after all those years that I told that to.
How long you been out here, man?
I've been out here for like 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. See, it's a lot of us that come out of jail and we don't have no place to go, you know what I'm saying? All our families, they done moved on or whatever. Some of us burned our bridges, and it's like now we're homeless. I mean,
Have they told you about the Community First Village out here?
no, sir.
Yeah, you need to check that out.
Yeah.
We built a big community out there, 51 acres.
Oh, yeah?
Full organic farm, outdoor movie theater, medical clinic, behavioral health, addiction help.
So what is that, like another Arch or Salvation Army?
No, nothing like this.
You are at Community First. This is a vision for bringing people out of homelessness and into a place called home and into a place of community. I'm going to get off the stage and let him tell you more. Please welcome the lead for this vision, this place, Community First and Mobile Loaves and Fishes, Alan Graham.
Alan Graham is a hard-driven man, driven by God's vision of what we should be doing in this world.
Awesome music, bro. Awesome morning, right? Let me tell you what, musician brother man over there, I want that last song as the song for this community, because I'm going to tell you right now that this place is all about love, 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 love. We don't feed people.
Just cut it right in half, give me a spoon.
I'll tell you. We don't house people. We don't empower people into blacksmithing, or art, or timber frame construction, or movie night. What we do is we connect human to human, heart to heart, by empowering the entire community to come onto this property and do nothing but love.
I was pretty lost. I had given up.
Come on, Robin.
Your family gives up. Everybody gives up on you. And being a street person, people don't even make eye contact. So there's just really no way out.
We're just right down here. I mean, you're just right down there. So,
Let's go down this path right here.
is there a path?
Yeah. Okay, so that's us in our first tent in the woods. My name is Robin Draper. I live at Mobile Loaves and Fishes Community First Village. I also work here in resident care and live out here as a missional. I'm actually the only person that has been in the streets and a former drug addict, so I have that in common with the people coming in from the streets. I met Alan in 2007. He would come often, once a week, to the camp. He came up to me and he said, "I'm going to do great things." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we're going to put everybody on one land, and we're going to have different projects and have people working, and I'm going to lift a bunch of people from the streets and put them into a home." And I was like, that's a really nice idea. And I'm so moved that you feel so deeply for homeless people, but good luck with that shit. And people won't even let us in the city. Like, it was hard for me to fathom how a perfect stranger cared for people that were so broken. It was very moving.
The earliest memory that I have of my father and mother as a husband and wife under the same roof was when I was about 4 years old. My mom was standing on the bed with a knife in her hands, threatening my dad. And then the next thing I know, Mom's in the hospital. She was subjected to the most powerful psychotropic drugs ever invented by man, and also underwent electric shock treatments. My father elected to serve her with divorce papers and unleashed the Armageddon of a custody battle for me and my brothers. My mom had parents that loved her, did not want her to be stripped of her maternal rights, and they were able to battle that effort.
You still have that smile, even today.
How old do you think I was here?
I bet you were 6.
After my mom got out of the hospital and regained custody, she converted to Roman Catholicism. And suddenly, we're going to Holy Ghost Catholic Church, we're getting baptized, and I've got my missal right here from 1962. So that was a pre-Vatican missal, and my name is written in it by my mom. This missal belongs to Alan John Graham, Bel Air, Texas. Holy Ghost. Pastor is Father Chandonnet. It was nice going to Mass, and then as my brother started going older and people started moving away from the church, my memory has it that I continued to spend a lot of time going to church with my mom.
Here's you and your brothers.
Yeah, here's me and my brothers right here. My oldest brother, Harold. Second oldest, Mark. Myself, and then my youngest brother, Evan. And I have to imagine I'm probably 14, 15 years old. My mother had a lot of nurturing power, but zero disciplinary capability. And so we were basically doing whatever it is that we wanted to do, and she was, for the most part, powerless. And so by the time 7th and 8th grade come around, it is spinning out of control. We start joyriding in people's cars without their permission, and then we got destructive. On March 29th, 1970, Easter Sunday morning, that evening I had 2 tickets to see Led Zeppelin on the Led Zeppelin 2 tour. These were like prized possessions, and a knock comes on the door. There were about 4 or 5 Houston Police Department cruisers out there. I knew they were coming to get me, and I get arrested. But day 1 went by, nobody came to get me. Day 2, day 3, Mom at this time was imploding again, and she was about to be institutionalized again. Well, about day 14 or 15, I can't remember, my father shows up and gets me out. And I think this is a really important moment, especially now, to look back on, because when we talk about homelessness, and you talk about people in prison, you talk about the foster care system, it all points to one thing, and that's a profound, catastrophic loss of family. And by all counts, I was in the middle of that deal. Mentally ill mother, divorced parents, father remarries. Me and my brothers are secondary in that relationship now as opposed to primary. But he shows up and rescues me.
You and Daddy?
Yeah. Yeah. That's my dad. We didn't have the best relationship on the face of the planet. You know, he left my family kind of early, but as an adult, we reconnected and, you know, became pretty good friends. And this right here is commonly known as my butt book. I've got another one back here. This one's full. And so this is where all the Allenisms, these butt books are handmade in Assisi by Franciscan monks. And so when Allen thinks of or comes across something that's important, they go into what my kids affectionately call the butt book. So here it is with my artwork. This is the bouquet of Christ. Conversion equals turning what is bitter into something that is sweet. To fully encounter Christ through the poor, you must be attracted to those scents that normally repel us. The bouquet of Christ is a mixture of urine, feces, crack cocaine, and multi-day old body odor. You should get the point. Run towards these smells. The joy of the gospel is there.
A lot of people do. They love.
Yeah, what do you want, bro? What are you up to, bro? How you doing, man? What's your name?
Jerry.
Jerry, I'm Alan Graham with Mobile Ocean Fishing.
They call me Chief Runner.
Like a Whataburger card? Yeah, there you go, bro. That's $15 worth of Whataburger. What's your name?
My name's Steve, and you are?
Alan Graham.
Yeah, Alan.
Yeah,
Guy with the beard.
the guy with the beard. Yeah. You're one of my brothers.
Y'all are really good people.
Yeah, so are you, bro.
Thank you so much.
You ever want to get out of here?
Which way?
Home.
I mean, home?
Well, another home before we get to that home. I built that village out there in East Austin that's beautiful.
You mean those little small homes?
I can't describe homelessness without first describing home. If you come to my home in Westlake of nearly 34 years, all the stuff that represents who our family is, how we have journeyed, is represented all over the place. It's as if when we cross the threshold of our home, we liquefy and pour ourselves into every crevice. We're connected into this place. It's been said that the mortar that holds the brick of even the most impoverished home together are the stories and memories that flow from that home.
Boy, this looks good here. We planted some stuff up in here, or what?
I think it's just starting to mature, you know,
This place looks great.
because you support guys like that and pay them a fair wage. Not many people know that I dropped out of high school, went and got a GED, started going to college, dropped out of the University of Texas, go into the real estate business and try to make my way as an entrepreneur. And then, you know, you meet someone that happens to be Roman Catholic, where you're re-intersecting what you had walked away from, really and truly. This is the wedding day. It's one of the greatest days of my life. I had a couple of cocktails too many at the party afterwards, but she's since forgiven me.
I have.
Yeah. My life is to become a successful real estate developer. My life wasn't to be a successful husband or a successful father. I think you wanted to be those. But the reality is that I probably more subscribe to that a successful businessman means a successful father and a husband. So I'm working all the time, and that also means networking. And that networking meant the party life and hanging out with the right people and going to the right events and being a member of the right clubs. All the things that were part of that deal.
I started taking both the kids to church on Sunday. When I'd get up and go, Alan was sitting there reading the newspaper, watching the Sunday morning news, and ask him from time to time, do you want to go? Nah. And then one day he surprised me and said, yes, I'd like to go.
A door opens up and Trisha's going out, I believe, with 2 kids in tow that were on the ground at the time, and going to Mass. And I look up, and this happened many other Sundays, but for some reason I'm looking at this, and it looks like the train's leaving the station. And then you start thinking about, my childhood, my father leaving, mowing his lawn, but not doing any scouting or football. My father never came to one of my football games. And so I decided at that point that it's not going to be me. But dang it, if I'm going to have to go back to that stupid Roman Catholic Church deal, I'm going to go and study why it's so weird. And I start reading about it. And then I took on reading from cover to cover the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And you're just fascinated. And I fell in love with the train wreck of the Roman Catholic Church. I go to this retreat, and right off the bat, there's hand-holding and praying and the bromance, hug it out thing. And I was uncomfortable, but men would get up in front and begin to vomit out the most putrid, sinful stuff. In my mind, I want to go, dude, that belongs in the deepest, darkest recesses of your skeleton closet. You don't need to bring that out. And then the magic bullet, connecting it to forgiveness, reconciliation, healing, and redemption. By the end of that 30 hours, whatever was intellectually up here about my belief in Christ, just bam, dropped the floor right into the depths of the cave of my heart. And then, you're reeling from this. You're reeling. You're looking at your wife. You're looking at your kids. And you're questioning, what am I doing? What should I do? And so I began to say yes to things. And one little thing led to another little thing that led to another little thing that took me over to this place over here and then took me to this place over here.
Alan came up with this idea of buying a used catering truck and going out in the streets of Austin and feeding the homeless. At that time, all of us were looking for something more than what we were getting out of the church pew. So it really appealed to me. So I jumped on with him, and we each kicked in $500 each, and then we kind of went out and started asking other people, and probably within 4 or 5 weeks, we raised $25,000, which is a lot more than we thought we were going to raise. And we ended up buying a pretty nice truck and then planting that in our church 2 or 3 months later, and we had probably 250 to 300 volunteers right off the bat.
We were just going to go feed people. It was one truck, but it just blew. One truck became 2 trucks, 2 trucks became 4 trucks, and then you start going to locations over and over again, and you're meeting people and you're knowing them by name, and a friendship develops. Because look, at the end of the day, we want to be hugged, we want to be loved, we want to be valued, we want to be known. It's pretty simple.
Alan had gone from making hundreds of thousands of dollars to saying, this is what I want to do with my life, is help the homeless. He stopped doing his development. He sold all his property, tried to get as much debt off as he could. It was a huge leap of faith.
There were hard times, financial, and then trying to figure out, sometimes you don't know what God's telling you to do. I thought it was a thing that he was just doing, like building a shopping center and, more of just to get something done, to say I've accomplished something. But the more I spent time with him, the more we talked about it, the more we dreamed about it, the more we talked about what God was laying on our hearts. I really knew that God was calling him.
It was mind-blowing, spending the night with my friends, hanging out with them. You begin to learn who these men and women are. I've spent 250 nights on the streets.
The pulse here, it's constantly beating. I can honestly say that the year that I've been here, I've accomplished so much. It's helping me continue to be empowered.
Oh!
Look at her, man. Look how healthy she is.
You just help.
What's going on, bro? Good, man. You doing all right? What's going on?
Yeah, you settling in?
Yes, I'm great.
Yeah. Where's your house?
722?
722, yeah.
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 I love it out here.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they got you working, you're sweating.
Oh, yeah, I got a job. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
You working for Larry or for Joel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, though. It's
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, working hard, make
Yeah.
some money, live
Yeah,
good,
beautiful,
eat
man.
good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Me
Yeah.
too. Thank you for doing this, man.
No,
Really
well, bro,
appreciate
thank you for being who you are.
it. Yes, sir.
I wouldn't get to do it if it wasn't for you.
And it's hard for me to describe who Alan is because he's just it's so huge. He gives back your right to be human. We always came in on the front side of the property,
Yeah.
so we didn't really use the
Yeah.
back side. I thought that life had everything to do with money, what kind of car you drove or what kind of boat you were riding on the river. And then to get out into the streets, it was a real shock to see the simplicity of what it really is all about. And those things are free. It's all free. Friendship, it's free to be kind to somebody. All the things that I wasn't really doing because it didn't have any real value in my eyes are the things that really need to be done. Oh gosh, maybe we're not there yet.
Yeah. And here's where I think y'all were. When you go up here just a little bit, it's where the main camp was. We built a kitchen, we had a fire pit, there were other tents around. I brought in generators and we had movie nights out here. They had Bible studies. I brought in people that knew what, depending on what your addiction was, if you're an alcoholic, what to eat. If you're a crack addict, what to eat in order to try to nourish your. I discovered how extraordinary my friends are. You get a flavor of all of humanity, man. Mm-hmm. People coming from all these different broken backgrounds. And, really what I learned is that everybody out here, man, came from a catastrophically broken family background.
I was buying a ranch out near Fredericksburg, and we were on the front porch, and there's an old hunter's trailer there. It's just an old RV that was falling apart, and he started looking around it, and started coming up with this idea that, hey, this is the next thing we need to do.
The idea that we had here, the mustard seed of an idea that is so far from visionary, it's incredible. Could we go out and purchase one gently used fifth wheel RV and lift one human being up off the streets into a privately owned RV park? Just one. Love, 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 love.
We probably ended up with around 40 trailers over those 10 years in different trailer parks, and the city would try to give us a plot of land where we could do our own trailer park, and then the Not in My Backyard people would come in, and we'd have a neighborhood association meeting, and we'd get shouted down. Alan Alan could, would get spat upon. I mean, it was that bad.
It's something that we internally call divine spontaneous order. That when you are laser focused on something and there is an open invitation for others to join you, God begins to spontaneously bring things in at an appropriate timing to equip you to do the work that He wants, because you're not equipped. We have no clue what we're doing.
I've never seen Alan sweat anything, even when we had no money at the beginning versus now when we're building a huge organization. He never fears failure. It's a peace that he has, that he's not in charge, but God is in charge. And this is what he's done. We have billionaires and millionaires walking the streets here, and we've got, formerly homeless people. And a lot of people say this could be what heaven looks like.
I wish that you guys could jump into my skin and feel what it feels like to look around and see that His idea has actually come to be. Like, He proves that love can solve anything.
In Genesis chapter 2, in the Garden of Eden is everything that you would ever want, man. I mean, it was a beautiful place. It had all the fruit and nut-bearing trees, the animals that were good to look at and hang out with. And in the middle was this tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which He gave. And then here's the big whammy right here, Genesis 2, verse 15. And then the Lord God took the man, settled him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. And I'm going to tell you something, sister. Nothing represents that greater than the person that I'm looking at right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Settled, cultivating, and caring.
On my keychain hangs the key of life, our destiny. The key, a gift from you to me. The key to my home, to be free, to be me. The key created my family, Brooke, Robin, and Avery. Together we are bravery. The key made possible a family tree, a wish I thought would never be. From the heavens appeared the key God used to set us free.
It's unambivalent that God has woven this deal together and has used me in a way that, I don't understand. I see it clearly in my mother, and my father divorcing her, in my juvenile delinquency, in my early adulthood. All of that is foundational to where I am today. And I don't think you could get here without all of that. But anyway, I was asking my brother many years later why my mother had converted. And he goes, "You didn't know?" And I go, "No, what?" And he goes, "Well, Mom had a vision of a saint in our backyard." And I go, "A vision of a saint?" So he's telling me this 10, 15 years ago. My mom's already dead. So I have no way of knowing who this, but I want to know. Who is a saint? There's a piece of me that, wants desperately for it to be Francis of Assisi, because he's my guy. It was complete simplicity. I'm going to go down into the bowels and I'm going to serve the poorest of the poor. And I'm going to give up all this other stuff. Very powerful what is being said to that simple little man that lived in a simple little town, that the church is a mess And I need you to be a light of the world and go and rebuild my church.